least that's what he says.
Did you get that car of yours fixed yet?
I was hoping maybe you could help me pay the damages.
I guess maybe you'll have to kill me.
It'll hurt if I do.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to another classic film review. Today I'm taking a look at the 1996 classic action film Last Man Standing. The film is directed by Walter Hill and stars Bruce Willis, Bruce Dern, William Sanderson, Christopher Walken and David Patrick Kelly. Now, essentially, this is a remake of A Fistful of Dollars, or more directly, a remake or a retelling of the 1961 film Yojimbo, which obviously A Fistful of Dollars remade as well. And it focuses on Bruce Willis's character, John Smith, who turns up in, it's 1911, I believe it is. He turns up in this western town that is being governed and ruled by two rival gangs. He decides to play them off against each other in order for his own personal financial gain. It kind of turns sour and he has to kind of fight for his life in order to come out on top. Right. What are my thoughts on Last Man Standing? Well, I thought that I would revisit some of the classic Bruce Willis films of mainly the 90s, because there's a lot of films that he did in the 90s that kind of flew under radars or weren't massively well received, didn't do massively well at the box office, so on and so forth. And I'm actually quite a big fan of them, and I thought it's time to celebrate a bit of Bruce Willis's less appreciated films. And I think this is definitely one of them. I remember watching this so many times back in the day on VHS. I really quite liked this. There's an air of familiarity about this film, and at the time, I don't know, when I first started watching this, I don't know if I'd probably put two and two together and realised that this was kind of a remake of Fistful of Dollars at the time. I would have probably been ignorant to that fact, but it feels very comfortable to watch this, and much of that is down to obviously Bruce Willis's performance, because he's the everyman, if you like. You kind of, you feel like he's representing you in many of these action films, Bruce Willis, and he does it so well. Now, it's kind of one of those performances of Bruce Willis's here where it's, it's not wisecracking or anything like that. It's a little bit monotone, and I think it's easy to kind of misread this performance as lacking energy or enthusiasm. But in actual fact, it's actually quite an interesting and layered performance if you actually sit and analyse it. Either way, I quite like him in this film, Bruce Willis, and he really does pull it off really, really well, and he does have that charisma and charm that works really, really well in films like this. It's littered, and I mean absolutely littered, with obviously recognisable faces here. You've got Bruce Dern, William Sanderson, and obviously Christopher Walken, who plays Hickey. Now, he's not in it a huge amount, even though if you watch the trailer, you might be mistaken if you watch the trailer. But I remember at the time being quite disappointed, because, again, in 1996, I probably knew who Christopher Walken was, but I wasn't exactly, at the level of respect I have for him now. And this character, Hickey, is talked about a lot in this film. They build him up to be like this homicidal bloody maniac. And when he eventually turns up in the film and it's Christopher Walken, I remember thinking, really? He's just, it seemed like a not very intimidating guy with a scar on his face. Now, watching it now with this appreciation of who Christopher Walken is, it kind of gives the film a real lift when he kind of turns up. You know what I mean? And it really does do the film a lot of good when he turns up. Obviously, the film is littered with some fabulous action, some fabulous gunplay as well, because essentially it's a Western at the end of the day. and it's handled expertly, of course, by Walter Hill, one of the most reliable and skilled directors when it comes to like action thrillers like this. I mean, you just look at his career, look at his filmography, and it's like a who's who of 80s action for the most part. You know, I mean, he directed 48 Hours, Red Heat, The Warriors, and I think one of the most underrated action films of the 80s, Extreme Prejudice, with Nick Nolte and Powers Booth, I believe it is. A film, actually, that I was reminded of when I was researching this. When I looked at Walter Hill's filmography, I thought, oh, God, I must rewatch that film. Fabulous stuff. So yeah, it's got kind of everything that you want here. It didn't actually do particularly well at the box office, I seem to remember. I mean, and at the time, Bruce Willis was, you know, at the peak, you could argue, of his fame. Um, I think you could probably make a strong case for that. I mean, the 90s anyway were incredibly popular time for Bruce Willis. I know he made a few poor decisions like Hudson Hawk and stuff in the 90s, but for the most part, a lot of what he did really, really paid off. And while, again, this one didn't exactly set the box office alight, I think it's one of his underappreciated a bit of a gem, actually, this, because it feels so authentic as well. You know, the vehicles and the costumes and this whole two mafia gangs kind of at each other's throats, and you know, it just feels like a lot of effort has gone into make this like as an authentic as experience as possible. And then when you add in like the production values here, and then Walter Hill's, you know, expert direction, you get here like a film that just kind of works on so many levels. So I think this is definitely one I would suggest checking out if it's one that you A, haven't watched, or B, if you haven't seen it for a long time, or you know, you're looking to check out some lesser known Bruce Willis films. I would definitely recommend this one. Loads of action in it. Like I say, some very memorable scenes. Some moments I remember as well. When I was younger, that, you know, when it's almost like near death, which the same thing happens to Clint Eastwood in Fistful of Dollars because it's part of the story, obviously, and he's kind of left near death, and you're thinking, oh, I never liked that as a kid. I never liked my heroes to kind of get beat up when I was a kid, so I never liked that side of it. But again, when you watch it with mature eyes, you just kind of lifts you. You're kind of like, right, come on, you need to get him back here now. So it kind of, you know, it works on every kind of level, this film, and it's definitely one that I would recommend checking out. It's a little bit of an underappreciated one in my opinion. So give me some ideas in the comments, guys, of some Bruce Willis films from the 90s and probably the early noughties that you want me to check out. I have reviewed some of his on the channel before, but unfortunately, most of the Bruce Willis content on this channel is the not so great films he made in the last decade before he is retired, obviously. So, yeah, I would love to have some suggestions from you guys. I've got a couple of ideas in my head, the films that I want to check out, but I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have got to say. So, thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I will, of course, be back with plenty more on the content. Oh, I mean, plenty more on the content. Plenty more content on the channel very soon. I'm just going to go and put my teeth back in again. So, see you later.